Welcome to ALP Corner, Family Law in the Heart of Houston.
Hello and welcome to ALP Corner, Family Law in the Heart of Houston with Allecia L. Pottinger, CEO of the ALP Law Firm. I am your host, Kevin Rosenquist, and today's episode is Child Support Unveiled, Myths, Calculations, and Navigating the System. Allecia, thanks so much for being here. It's great to see you.
Thank you for having me. Oh, excuse me. My voice is starting to crack and everything else.
Well, it's late in the day. I imagine you've done your fair share of talking today.
Actually, I have, but it's more so the pollen in the air is horrible.
Oh, this time of year is brutal on me too. I'm with you. I hear you.
Yeah.
So let's start here. What are some common misconceptions about child support in Texas that you frequently encounter, and how do you kind of help navigate these misunderstandings?
The two biggies is child support shouldn't be calculated on my overtime or my bonuses. You know, a lot of time I don't always get overtime or I don't always get bonuses. But the bottom line is child support is going to be calculated on your income. And that's whether you work overtime or not. If you didn't work overtime, it won't be calculated into the child support. But if you do, and if you receive bonuses, it's going to be calculated. The other big misconception that I find that people have is they'll think, well, the other side has a lot of money. They don't need my child support. They're making, twice as much as I'm making. And so why do I need to pay that much in child support? Well, the child support in Texas is based on not both parents' ability to take care of the child's needs. What it is the parent who's paying is based on their income only. And that is, if it's one child, it's 20% of the net resources. So it's not gross, it's net resources. They do allow for taxes, union dues, your Medicaid, Medicare to be taken out of, and also the health insurance costs that you pay. So, yeah.
I don't know. I feel like my kid takes up a lot more than 20% of my net revenue.
And that's exactly what I have to tell clients is that, you want to go fight because you don't want to pay child support. But if we put paper to pencil, pencil to paper, you will find that the cost is much greater than what you would have to pay in child support.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about the calculations. How is child support calculated in Texas, and what factors play the most significant roles in determining the amount?
The amount of children that you have, and also whether you have a duty to support a child that's not before the court today. So, for example, you start with the net resources, and the net resources is based on the reduction of the taxes that you have to pay, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security. You get those deductions. If you belong to a union and you pay union dues, you get that deduction. So once those are taken off, then they apply a calculation based on the amount of children you have before the court. So for one child before the court, you get 20% taken out. If it's two children, it's 25%. 3 children is 30%, and it goes up in increments of 5 based on the amount of children. But let's say you have one child in front of the court, but you have another child over here that you have a duty to support. Then they will take that 20% and they will reduce it by 2.5%. So you will have to pay 17.5. So it's a big calculation, not a big, but it's just a calculation putting numbers to the pen. And it's really simple when you get down to the brass tacks of things, and it's easy to calculate. That's one of the reasons why in Texas, they don't allow a jury to decide what the child support is going to be. It's straight calculations, and the judge is the only one who could do that and order it.
Just straight math, like you said. It's just straight math. Simple. That's good in a lot of ways because it just takes away a lot of the arguing and the defending and the lobbying and whatnot.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, in cases where one parent has significantly changed their financial situation, what processes are available for maybe modifying the child support obligation?
Definitely. The modification is always available to a parent who has had a reduction in income and or lost their job. The problem that they will find and run into, they have to be persistent because the Office of Attorney General is not going to want to reduce the child support, but they have to make sure that they are persistent and saying, look, I don't have the money. I need a modification and I need it now. So as soon as they have a reduction in income, they need to expediently get to the OAG's office, get to an attorney, do something in order to get that modified. Otherwise, it's going to continue to stack up, and stack up.
What about the opposite? If someone's financial situation changes and they get a raise, they get a new job that pays them significantly more, or they take on a side hustle. Is you're going to increase that in that situation too, I'd imagine.
It can be increased. Remember that overtime? Remember that bonus?
Yeah.
Same thing with a side job. It's going to be included in the net resources. And so what you will find is the other party and how this, let me just tell you what the statute reads. The statute says as long as the child support is going to be equivalent to $100 more than the actual child support that the party is paying, or 20% of increase, whichever is less, then they are entitled to a modification. If it doesn't reach that $100 mark or it doesn't reach that 20% mark, bottom line, they will not be entitled to, or the other party will not be entitled to an increase in child support. So
Okay.
there's some preventative measures in there to stop people from cycling in the court. Oh, he has a new car. Let me go to court.
Yeah.
Oh, I see that he just got a new house. Let me go to court. And I use men because men are the ones that end up paying, but sometimes it's the women that end up paying as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Does the paying parent have any say in how the child support is spent?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm surprised you're saying that because I just had to counsel one of my clients and say she does not have to give an accounting for the child support that she is paying. As long as your child has a roof over their head, they have food in the house, they have their clothes, and they're getting to school, you don't need to worry because that means that child support is going for that particular taking care of the child. Yes, mom may get her nails done. Yes, mom may go and put eyelashes on all the time, and you feel like your child is getting left by the wayside. But bottom line, as long as the rent, phone bill, those things, water is in the house, and they have food, that's your major concern.
If the paying parent feels like maybe there's the child's not being taken care of in a good enough way that the money's not going to the right place, if they really feel strongly like that's the case, is there recourse?
Yes, you can ask for a modification.
Okay.
Yes, not in the child support, modification, and ask to get custody of the child because you believe that the child is being neglected. Those are definitely good reasons to modify who is the managing conservator.
Yeah, serious situation too, if that gets to that.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
What happens if a parent required to pay child support fails to do so? Can you kind of talk about how that goes and what the consequences of non-payment are in Texas?
Ooh, that is a serious offense. Judges in Texas do not. Let me just back it up and say, you don't mess with Texans. And so when you when you're dealing with a situation where you're not, it's that old adage, good old boy system that says we take care of our families, and so
Mhm.
judges expect that a person is going to take care of their child. And when they don't take care of the child and they're deadbeat parent, as I'll call them, then the courts have a recourse and it's called an enforcement action. What happens in enforcement action? you can end up going to jail for non-payment of child support. You can be put on probation. You can be put on fines. If you don't show up in the court for the court date, they'll issue a capias, and that means that you'll be arrested if you get caught somewhere, and you will be held in confinement until the court date. So there are a lot of remedies that courts have in order to get the money from the other parent. You will be surprised how many parents end up coming up with the money that they didn't have when they're facing jail. That money
the money they didn't have.
Yes, it comes, it all automatically shows up in court, when they're facing jail. Yeah.
Well, it's sad too, because, I get, like, I'm not saying it's right, but like if you have a spousal support you're paying, maybe you don't like that person very much, and there's some tension there. But kids, you should take care of the kids at least.
Correct. Absolutely. They're yours.
Yeah, they're yours too. So I understand that you called it a good old boy system, and I'm not in Texas, but I agree with it. I agree with the system.
Yes, that Southern genteel, we take care of our families. I mean, it's very, very important here.
Yeah.
Across the country, but
yeah, I know what you mean. The Southern,
Mhm.
I totally know what you mean. My wife's family's in the South, and so I get it. I definitely get it.
Okay, good.
How do you approach some of the unique situations that might affect child support agreements, like something like blended families or special needs children?
Oh, those are two good questions. I tell you, the two majors that you will find. One is when you do have a special needs child, and the other one is when the parent has to do a lot of traveling in order to exercise their visitation rights. And so let's start with special needs. Special needs parent, if you have a child that has special needs, and that special need is going to follow that child into adulthood, and they may not be able to take care of themselves in adulthood, then the courts could issue an order and say that the child support doesn't stop when the child turns 18, and it can continue indefinitely, because again, you need to take care of your child, and if they're special needs, that still doesn't mean you don't have the obligation. The other time, the courts will reduce the child support based on the amount of time or the amount of money that a person has to spend in order to exercise their visitation. So you might have a parent that lives in New York, and in order to exercise their visitation, they have to spend a lot of money in plane tickets, companion costs, baggage fees, sometimes hotel costs. And so the courts will take that in consideration and may reduce the child support based on the travel expenses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And with blended families, that's always kind of an interesting one. That kind of complicates things, I'd imagine.
It does, but here's the thing. Even in blended families, the courts don't look at, for example, remember when I said they don't look at the other parent? So it has happened that, the person who is paying child support ends up getting married. And they get married, and in this case, we'll say that the person is a husband, and the wife is complaining because there's so much money going out of the household in order to take care of the other child that doesn't live there. That can cause some issues. Vice versa, you will find a lot of times step parents don't understand why the other parent doesn't pay their fair share, doesn't pay the extracurricular activities, and et cetera, et cetera. So blended families do have a little, let's say, it's not as contentious as it is when it's just, one party and the other party.
Gotcha.
But it does come up.
Yeah, for sure. But finally, for anyone listening who might be trying to navigate and understand their rights and obligations regarding child support in Texas, what advice do you give them on how to get more information and how to be successful in understanding how it all works?
Well, one of the things they could do is come and consult with the ALP law firm, but If they don't want to do that, they can always go to the Office of Attorney General's website. They will get some information in there. They'll find a child support calculator that they can use to put in their salary and how many children and how much they pay. And it will give them some guideline, what the guideline child support would be.
Okay.
So there's resources out there.
Yeah, and thanks to everyone listening to ALP Corner, Family Law in the Heart of Houston with Allecia L. Pottinger. To connect with Allecia and her team, head to alplawfirm.com. And of course, always be sure to like and subscribe to our channel and leave us a review. Allecia, so great chatting with you. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Kevin. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.